Explorer, you've arrived at the threshold of an epic journey where self-love meets fitness. Gather your courage as we seek to challenge the limits of our bodies, become mentally resilient, and learn to cherish ourselves for the beautiful individuals we are. Along the way, we'll be joined by incredible mentors in the pole and fitness community who will share their wealth of knowledge to help you blossom. This is the Pole Adventures podcast, and your adventure starts now. Welcome, explorers, to another episode of Pole Adventures. I'm your host, Paris, an eternally struggling pole dancer, here to bring you the wisdom of Dr. Emily Rausch. Emily has an extensive background in exercise science, chiropractic therapy, and all sorts of sports. However, when she realized from experience that there isn't nearly as much support for all of the pole, aerial, and circus-specific related injuries and rehab, she became a specialist in that area. So we all know how frustrating it is to really want to do that awesome trick, but your mind and body just isn't keeping up. So that's what we'll be exploring today with our expert, Dr. Emily. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here and to chat with you.
Yeah, awesome. So first, I'd love for you to tell us a bit about your pole adventure. What was your why for pole?
Oh, okay. This is actually a super interesting question. So I started my aerial journey kind of as a response to graduating as a college athlete. I don't know if did you do sports in college?
No.
No. Okay. It's fine. Yeah. So I have been an athlete my entire life. I threw the javelin in college. And when you're used to having practice, right? I went to practice 5 to 6 days a week. I had very regimented schedule. Sports pretty much was my life. And when I graduated from undergrad, that just went away. That super structured, I'm on a team, I have a goal, just kind of out the window. And so I really struggled with what is my identity as an athlete and to movement, because I didn't have a sport anymore. I've always really enjoyed running, but then eventually I was like, I want to try something new. I don't know how I stumbled across the aerial studio that was in the part of Montana that I was living in at the time, but they were doing a 4-week taster series. So 1 week was lyra, trapeze, the long silks, and then the sling/hammock. I hated all of them except for the hammock. Oh, no. The hammock, I was like, I can deal with this. I have a bottom. It doesn't super hurt. The lyra and trapeze, I was like, why do people do this? And now it's funny that I'm a pole dancer. But yeah, I did hammock for, 3 or 4 years pretty consistently, and got to the point where we were learning how to do crazy drops. And at this point I was in chiropractic school. So having fabric burns and then being in a doctorate program where people are touching your body, it's a very hands-on curriculum in school, did not go well. I literally was you cannot touch my back because there's open wounds on it. Oh, no. No, thank you. So it didn't take me very long to realize that at least for that moment, I probably shouldn't be doing hammock because I needed to pass my classes. So I wanted to stay in the aerial world, but not be on a fabric thing. And I'd already been jaded by lyra and trapeze with that little taster class. So I was like, what about pole? Let me just give that a shot. And it was the most funny interaction, my very first intro class. I could not get any of my girlfriends to go, but my guy friend Jan was willing to go with me. So it was me, Jan, and one instructor. And I loved it. He hated it. And I have been, pole dancing for 6 years now, just kind of out of a need to stay off the ground without being fabric burned.
What about pole burn?
Yeah, now I'm just bruised and battered in different ways, but it's been fun.
Yeah, I didn't know hammock was its own thing. What I guess is that?
Other people call it a sling. It's the silks, but it's in a loop.
Is that flagim?
I don't know what that is. Yeah, the long silk.
It's aerial yoga sort of thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, a similar thing, but you do tricks and drops on it like you would.
Okay.
The longer 2 silks. It's just tied in a loop, which is fun. If you've never tried it, you should try it. It's super fun, but be aware, fabric burns.
Oh yeah. So in your many years of exploring all these sports, do you have any embarrassing pole moments to share?
Oh, I feel like I embarrass myself on a regular basis. I'm not gonna lie. Mostly because
Everyone does.
Yeah, I feel like everyone does too. I think the most recent one that comes to mind is I am a baby when it comes to spin pole. And I shouldn't say like complain, but we were trying to learn what were we trying to learn the other day? It was like a pretty simple move. And I tried to do it on spin and I was like barely turning, like barely even rotating. And I was like, ah! And my instructor like thought I was falling. And I was like, oh no, I'm fine. I'm literally like just terrified to be like upside down and spinning. So that's like a regular embarrassment that I'm forever trying to train my brain to handle spinning. But
me too. I get motion sick.
Yeah, vertigo, such a pain in the butt. Other embarrassing things. I mean, like I fall out of stuff sometimes. Nothing like super embarrassing besides like getting hurt, which I think is more just like my ego being hurt than like
Yeah. So, especially as like excited beginners or those coming from a different sport background, we're always raring to go and to try everything and everything. But when we get to pole, it's actually really hard. So, most people end up like either injuring themselves or getting really frustrated. Do you have any strategies to help manage that frustration when the mind basically wants to move faster than the body?
Yeah, I was actually just on a Zoom chat with Marlo Fiskin. I'm in her Invert Ready coaching program, and we were chatting about this, about how there's two different beginner mindsets, and one is more negative, or like I want to call it toxic, to be honest, than the other. And it's that like, meh, I like expected to be good at this and I'm not good at it. Which we all have that like moment in our brains quite a bit. And that beginner mindset can win, or the beginner mindset of I'm willing to suck and I'm willing to put in the work and grow, do hard things, figure shit out slowly but surely. And so when I find myself, because I definitely get there where I'm like, why the fuck is this so hard? Little tantrum moments is to just pause and be like, okay, which mindset do I want to bring to this session? And there's definitely times where I'm like, nope, I'm going to throw a tantrum. Like, that's just where I'm at with life right now. And so I'm just going to like pitch a fit and then get over it. But the other one, the like true beginner of like embracing the suck, failing better every single time, that one is what gets you farther along in your journey.
Yeah, especially like at that time of month, you just need to throw a tantrum and just have your moment.
Yeah, and like
complain, and then as long as you get yourself back up afterwards.
Definitely, yeah. The number of I mean, I feel like it's like a normal human emotion, right? That frustration that like I don't understand what I should be doing differently or what I could be doing differently. Or even what you're doing wrong. And sometimes it's like, it's not that you're not doing anything wrong. You're just like not ready for what you're trying to do or what you want to do. Having that like expression and then being able to come back to grounding to be like, okay, why am I having honestly, I want to call it the delusion that like, I should be able to do this. Like where is the evidence that I have like put in the work to be able to do this thing? Which that doesn't always work for everyone. Sometimes that like will make people more mad, but that helps my brain to be like, have you done the work to be able to do this? Like, if no, there's the solution. If yes, then like you probably need help because you're at your capacity of knowledge. And there's obviously a lot of people that are out there that can help you with it.
Yeah, I really found that with, when I was, trying to progress to like that next level and everybody else was doing fine and I was not, sort of thing. Like, on one side there was, they had that fitness background, I didn't. So, they obviously had put in a lot more work than I had just in general. But, I had felt like, I was going to pole like many times a week and it just kind of wasn't getting anywhere. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, how would you deal with that? Like, those comparison kind of issues and progress when you're not progressing.
A few different things come up, and I feel like one of them's like super cliche, right? And it's like comparison is the thief of joy. But then also, like, I feel like it's normal for humans to compare themselves, especially in like a group setting, right? I feel like it's probably almost like a safety thing to be like, where am I, like, in comparison to the people around us. Safety being like lizard brain safety, not like you're in danger in your class. And so part of me wants to be like, it's normal, and it also can be fuel for people if you use it in the right way. It can be fuel in, I see someone doing something I want to do, so I'm motivated to work harder, like not quit, because I have that internal like athlete drive that person's not gonna beat me. Not that we're really in competition with each other. The other thing that comes to mind is wondering what your training looks like. And so a lot of pole dancers will say, oh, I'm trying really, really hard, but they're not necessarily doing the building blocks to be able to do the thing that they want to do. Where in other forms of movement, it's very obvious of like, here is step 1, here is step 2, here is step 3. A lot of times pole dancers will be like, okay, I'm on step 1 and now I'm trying to do step 5. And why can't I do step 5? But we didn't do 2, 3, 4 to get to 5. And that happens more often than people realize.
The progression isn't very easy to see, I guess.
Yeah, and it's not easy to see if it's not something that you like nerd out about, which like most people don't, right? Like most people aren't being like, okay, here's the trick that I want to be able to do. What are each individual element for me to be able to like building block up to it? They're like, I want to be able to do that. It looks like I should be able to do that. Why can't I? Why can't I do it? So yeah, that's part of it. And then another part that is pretty common in most pole studios that I've been to, at least, is there's not a lot of structure in the classes where it's like, okay, our end goal for the next 6 to 8 plus weeks is to be able to do this one singular thing. It's a kind of a hodgepodge of like, we're going to do this. And, oh, I saw this on Instagram, and, oh, somebody recommended this thing. And you do make some progress, right? But it's like, you can't see my hands. Audio people, my hands are wiggling around all over the place. You kind of make progress, but you kind of don't. So if there's something that you really, really, really want to do, being hyper focused on that is how you actually make progress.
Would you have any tips for figuring out those building blocks to get to that, to get to the move?
Yes. Do we have a move? Like it's pretty. That's like a kind of a broad.
Inverts.
Yeah. Okay. Invert. I was like, I hope you say invert because I'm in the invert. Just had a invert ready.
Everyone needs invert
coaching session. So, building blocks of an invert. One is like obviously being able to get upside down, but then if you think of like, okay, what are my arms doing? I have to have the ability to control my shoulder blades going places. I have to have the ability to eccentrically lengthen my biceps, so elbows bent to elbows extended without my arm like drifting away from my body. I need to have the ability to control where my pelvis is in space and not let gravity just take it where gravity wants to take it. And then can I do multiple things at once? Like, can I control where my pelvis is in space and extend my elbows? Like, kind of those little elements is how I would approach an invert. And then that's not even like considering like what is going on with your legs, right? Like that's literally just like the middle section of your body. So like, can you start lengthening your legs out? Which
just breaking down all the little itty bits of the move.
Yeah, itty bits in the move. And then it's like building blocks, right? Of like, okay, if I were to pick one, probably controlling the core would be where our logic would say, and then arm strength, and then like leg strength, and putting them all together. And where people just like broadly, because I've talked to quite a few people, is they like to skip steps, or they like to think that they don't need to do a step because they're like, oh, I can control my pelvis. And then you like go to do it, and it's like, oh, no. And a lot of those drills are like boring as fuck, to be honest. Like some of those building blocks, you're just like, really? Like, this is where I need to spend some time on. And we don't like to do boring things as pole dancers. We like to do cool, flashy things, but we need the foundation first.
Yeah. Do you know do you have any strategies to help make those boring bits fun? I think that's definitely a big part of where I struggle. It's like, oh yeah, you need to do like push-ups and things to like help your shoulders and everything, or crunches for your core. But it's so boring. That's why I want to do pole.
Yeah, I like the boring stuff. To be honest, so that's something that I find super fascinating as someone that grew up doing sports where all you do is just like repetitive, stupid fucking drills to be able to, like, I played soccer or like football for people that aren't in the US, and you literally will spend hours. Can you touch the ball with the inside of your foot? Can you touch the ball with the outside of your foot? And so I know the phrase that I like is to fall in love with boredom. Like, how can you just embrace being bored because the end goal is going to be worth it? So whether that's like pictures or when I'm in I don't want to do the boring shit move, I literally will write out like fall in love with boredom or the basics or how you get better, like some sort of catchphrase. Shannon McKenna, she's the artist athlete. Hers is chop wood, carry water. Like, it's literally that's the only way that you make progress. It's just the monotonous, like boring things. So I don't know if that was helpful.
No, that was really good because I struggle with boredom as well. That's why I'm like jumping always to different projects or whatever. How would you go about setting some like realistic goals that satisfy that need for progression, but also keeping us safe within our body's limits and not injuring ourselves?
For sure. So I feel like the first step is being truly objective about where your starting point is. And most humans are not good at being objective about their own capacity, right? We all think we're better than we are. In reality, turns out we all have like kind of a skewed view of our own like capacity for things. So I recommend having some sort of outside person help you truly assess where you are, and then being in a mind space where you're willing to just sit with the big feelings that come up with maybe where you think you are and where you actually are not the same. And then once you have an assessment, then you can start addressing the areas that you need to address based on your specific goal that you're trying to be able to achieve. And so I'll give like a little bit more of an answer because I know that was kind of vague. Right now I'm running a shoulder course. It's called How to Not Fuck Up Your Shoulders Pole Dancing. And we go through like really basic assessments. Like, can you bring your arm overhead to 180 degrees of flexion? The majority of people on the course can't. That is going to make a significant amount of moves on the pole incredibly challenging, like borderline impossible. So we're going to start there because it doesn't make sense for the longevity of your pole career and for the health of your shoulders for you to force it into that position. And so, like having very much like, can you do this? Yes, no. And then putting in the work, the monotonous, boring work to be able to do that later.
Yeah, that makes sense. So with on the flip side of that, being too eager, what if you're too afraid? And what is is there a way to know when you can and should push yourself, or whether that's actually your limit here, or you need to be doing a bit more to train for that?
Yeah, that's also one of the fascinating parts about pole, right? Is it's a fine line of like, am I ready for this or am I just scared to do it?
Yeah.
And for a while I had the mindset of like pushing and like finding out, like a little bit of fuck around and find out probably isn't like the worst thing in the world. But as someone who has fucked around and found out by dislocating her shoulders, I tend to swing more on the like caution side lately, because I would love to have my shoulders function when I am, an older adult. And so more and more I have been, if you're ready for it, it won't be super scary. And if you're trying to override that very needed like alarm bell, there's probably an easier entry point for you to start with and like gain that confidence, and wherever that is, right? So like if we're doing a layback, like use that, or I think that's what it's called. I don't know if it's called the same everywhere in the world. If the idea of like letting go of the pole when you're up in the air is like you're shaking, no,
Yeah.
like, okay, maybe that's not like the best way for you right now. So like, are there other kind of like lean backy moves that you can be like, okay, brain, we're not going to die if we do this. Like
Yeah.
we can work on it. As opposed to just being like bullied or forced to be like, just let go. Maybe, I don't know, maybe not the time to find out.
Yeah, I think sometimes you can be pushed a little bit too far. So, like, not necessarily as a bullying way, but like encouragement. Like just do
Just
it.
try.
It's
Yeah.
just try it. It's like you got this sort of thing. Like, no, I don't got this. My brain is not working.
Yeah. And I think it's different for every person too, right? Because there's some people's like personalities where that would be fine, where like the people around being like, just try it, you'll be great.
You do just have to try.
Yeah. Like I'm picturing one of the people that I train with where like literally you ask her to do something and she has like no fear. She's like, okay, cool. Like, let's go. Like, which is like one extreme because I'm like, maybe you're not like actually ready for that. You just like don't have the fear. And then the other extreme would be someone that's like super, super scared to do things. And so like gentle encouragement, I think could be worth it. And then also just I don't know, forever reminder that for most of us, this is a hobby, right? Like we're not making money doing this. Or like our livelihood's not at stake if we can't do a trick, right? So that's been coming up a lot with some
take
of
the
my
pressure
people.
off.
Yeah, like if you don't feel ready to do it, don't do it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. If you do, then like, okay, let's find ways to like work with your body and your nervous system so that you feel ready to do it. But the like, I don't know, that like I have to, but do you?
Well, I guess some studios, you have like those move requirements to be able to progress. So I guess, sometimes you do get really stuck on that one trick. So what do you do then?
Do we need to have move requirements for levels? I mean, maybe yes,
That's
maybe
an
no.
instructive question.
Yeah, and that's been one that's come up a few times. Like forever since I've been like specializing in pole dancers, because a lot of times it is the invert, right? It's like chopper V invert that hangs people up. And is that the only way to get upside down? Do people really need to be able to hit that V shape to be able to progress through things? I know a lot of people will say yes. And then I will question like, okay, why though? Like if you can climb up and then descend into an outside leg hang, you're in an outside leg hang. And if that's where you're going with that chopper V position, does it matter that they are getting into it a different way?
Well, I think the argument would be it locks you out of so many moves. And then perhaps if you don't have the strength to do that, then you also don't have the strength to do what comes after that or similar steps.
I mean, I don't want to say I like completely disagree. I hear this argument a lot, and I feel like for me, more and more lately, it comes back to like, once again, we're doing this as a hobby, and like, do we need to put like parameters around people's movements like to such an extreme? I don't know. Maybe if you wanted to compete or you wanted to like pole dance professionally, then I could be like, okay, maybe we can make the argument that like, yeah, you should be able to do this, to be able to do things. But there's a lot of self-taught pole dancers or even strippers that learn in the clubs that like they don't do all of the things and they're still able to like pole dance and have like a good time with it. Like the super rigid stuff with some of the studios, I'm like, maybe yes, maybe no. But more and more I've been leaning to like, if there's other ways for people to enjoy this form of movement, like maybe we should focus on that a little bit more.
So I guess more just have fun with it.
Yeah. And like, I feel like you can have fun and, still be safe and still work on, like you can still work on an invert, right? Like, it's not like you're like, oh, I'm just never going to work on this because I can get upside down another way. But the number of people that have cried on calls with me because they have been like low-key trapped at a level at their studio because they can't do one move, but they can do moves in the next level, right? They're like, I can't level up because I can't do this one move, but the moves that are taught at the next level, I can already do half of them. I just get into it differently than other people. That is where I'm having like a little bit of like, but do we really have to put so much stock on like getting into something one specific way? Or can we give people a little bit of flexibility with
freedom,
their approach? Yeah.
Yeah. So in more of the minds of like, preparing for that, do you have any favorite things that, we should be doing at home or cross training that you'd recommend that would better prepare us to, not get stuck in all of those things, or to find better ways to do them?
Yeah. Broadly speaking, it would be to make your movement capacity as big as it possibly can, because that gives you more options to be able to do things. I'm talking about the invert, right? If you have the ability to get into it from 80 different ways, that will be a lot more fun for you than if you have one way to get into a shape. I am a huge proponent of cross training. And for me, that includes weightlifting, like using weights to cross train. And it's partially because we are humans first, humans who age and who have bones that need to be as strong as they possibly can. Which people, it's like a little bit morbid, but like we're all forever aging. And one of the like leading causes of death in old people is that they fall and then they break their hip and they're not able to recover from that fall. And like time and time again, research has shown that like weightlifting is like one of the best ways to increase your bone strength, to increase your balance, increase your longevity of life. And so that's part of it, is like from a human body perspective, weightlifting. And then also with pole, we are throwing our body weight around our apparatus to varying degrees. And one of the best ways to get strong is by weightlifting. And the stronger you are, the easier it will be for you to throw your body weight around like it's nothing, regardless of whatever you weigh. Like being able to own your body weight is a pretty empowering thing.
And what about any strategies for people who don't get to move around a lot outside of the pole, like working from a desk all the time, or just being at home rather than being able to go out to do all those things?
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, my job, I'm at my computer like 99% of the time. The joys of running a virtual business is that you have to be on a computer to be able to do it. This is one where I want to sort of say like I'm privileged, right? I don't have kids. I have a dog who right now is kind of a pain in the butt because he like needs assistance with stuff. But and my husband doesn't work in the same state that we live in, so I have a lot of free time where it's not a struggle for me to like get to a gym, and my gym's in my basement, so I literally just have to walk downstairs and am able to lift. So fully just wanted to like disclaim that or explain that first. The other thing is we all, to varying degrees, have pockets of time where we probably could sneak in some sort of cross training. And a lot of times people get hung up on it's going to be really short, or I'm not going to be able to do a lot of movements or a lot of reps. I don't have a lot of weight. Something will always be better than nothing. And so if you are holding a small child while your water's boiling to make dinner, like, can you do some squats? Can you sneak in?
I think it's like weightlift the baby.
Yeah, like, maybe don't use your child as a weight. I don't have a child. So, like, disclaimer with that. But, like, it doesn't have to be this, like, huge, I'm going to take my gym bag and I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to be at the gym for an hour to do things. It can. And if that's something that you enjoy, great. But it also can be something, 15, 20 minutes a few times a week with, like, a moderate to heavy weight will give you like significant more progress than if you do nothing.
Yeah, because I think just for me and many other people, the activation energy to actually get up, go to the gym, or go like do the whole song and dance to get somewhere is the big, like, yeah, maybe not, I'll just do something else instead.
Yeah. Reels exist, TikTok exists, it's so much easier.
Or just go back to work.
Yeah, go back to work. I made a reel the other day that was like the best way to be consistent with anything is to make starting as easy as it possibly can. And so if that means that you have a wait by your couch and you get up when there's a commercial on, or you set a timer for 20 minutes and you are on Instagram for 20 minutes and then you get up and you have your wait where you literally just have to reach over and grab it. Like make the barrier to entry so small that like, yeah, I don't want to say there's no excuse for you not doing it, but it's like you're like, it's there. You're literally ready to do. Yeah, ready to do it. And then it doesn't have to be a huge long thing too, right? Like do what you have the energy for, and that will be significantly better than if you just like stayed not doing anything.
Yeah, awesome. And if there was just one thing you could let every pole dancer know, what would it be?
Slow the fuck down. Not even joking, because a lot of my injuries have been from me deciding that I wanted to do something that my body wasn't ready for. The majority of clients that I have for my one-on-one rehab coaching all have been just, I was in a rush. They don't usually say that like, oh, I was in a rush and I got hurt. But like the story that they will say is I've been pole dancing for however many years and I went through my levels really quickly, or I only trained one side because I wanted to level up as quick as I possibly could. I sacrificed my form because I wanted the Instagram shot. Like I tried it one more time because I was in a rush to, get whatever. Like it's all this like kind of self-imposed, I'm behind because I started this late or whatever the thing is. And then, they end up either injured or plateauing, or tired, quitting, all because they, have this rush in, which I'll be honest, I was one of them. So if you're listening to this and you're like, oh yeah, no, I was one where I was like, as quick as I possibly could do the stuff that I was seeing on Instagram, I wanted to do it. And then, ended up dislocating my shoulder. And then that was the first time was not a red flag. The second time I was like, okay, we have to do something different.
The second time,
No, I literally was, a lot of the stuff that I post is because I am I am an athlete in my core and will like push beyond my capacity on a regular basis. And it took me, dislocating my shoulder twice for me to be like, something is wrong. Something is wrong with the way that I am choosing to do this. So I don't want you to get to the point where you're dislocating joints to realize that you have to slow down. Just know that like there's really if you're training in a sustainable manner, you could do this into your 70s, 80s. Whether or not you want to is a whole other thing. So why are we pushing so quickly?
Yeah, it's hard to internalize that, it's not a competition, it's just us, we're doing this as a hobby, you don't have to get the things right now.
Yeah, and if that's something that you're struggling with, I don't want you to sit and be like, where is this coming from? Is it coming from the people that you're following on social media? Is it coming from the studio that you're training at? And do you even have that awareness, or are you just like, I'm feeling this rush from somewhere? And if you can figure out where it is coming from, one, I think that like kind of detaches you a little bit from it because you're like, oh, I'm feeling rushed because of this. And then also remember that you have the ability to not follow people that are making you feel like you're inadequate or that you're behind. And like their content's still going to be there, right? For the most part. Hopefully Instagram doesn't decide to delete them, which is something. But that's like a whole nother rant. But like when you are ready to like start consuming that like higher level content because you've given yourself time to get there, they'll be there. And so stick. I don't know, maybe following people that are at like your current level. So you're like, cool. My social media feed is filled with things that are like a next, maybe like one step ahead of where I am, like enough of a reach as opposed to, oh, if I had no bones, I would be able to do that too.
Yeah. Awesome. So yeah, I heard you have a pole performance program that you can work with people virtually. Would you like to let us know a bit more about it?
Yes. So this program is my one-on-one coaching program. It is 3 months long, and it was developed after I dislocated my shoulder the second time,
Yeah.
purely out of desperation. I'm not gonna lie. I really struggled. Like the first time I dislocated my shoulder, I did my rehab exercises and I thought I was good. The second time it happened, I was like, what the actual fuck is happening? Like, I don't understand why this happened again, because it wasn't like I wasn't doing stuff to try and make my shoulder feel better. And I truly struggled to find people or like providers that understood what I was asking my body to do. And so if I was one of those people that filmed myself crying, I would have like hours of me like crying my eyes out of like, I don't know what to do. I felt so helpless, so powerless. I wanted to pole dance. I didn't know how I was going to be able to. And then I realized that I had the ability and somewhat the knowledge to like conglomerate what a pole dancer's body needed to be able to do. So I was my first client that went through all of the awesome. Like, yeah, what do I need my shoulder to be able to do? What do I need my body to be able to do? Like, how do I feel after I do this for a while? And so I have, developed I should have a name for it. I don't have a name for it. Like a protocol of like, can your body do this? Yes, no. Where's the pain coming from? What is contributing to the pain that we start with? And then we work on addressing whatever we find during that initial assessment throughout the 3-month program. And it's done virtually, so you can work with me wherever you are in the world.
Yeah, awesome. And where can our explorers best find you?
Instagram is the platform that I'm the most active on. I had to delete TikTok because it's like a little bit too addicting. Even though I love the like community stuff on there. Like people are so funny, but Instagram is the platform that I'm on the most. My handle is at dr.emilyrausch, and Emily spelled Emily, and my last name's Rausch. And then I just launched a new website, which is dremilyrausch.com, where you can peruse things, actually get in contact with me, like get on my calendar to talk about options for working together. And then coming up soon, I don't know, I said soonish, but I like haven't planned out the rest of the year. But there's going to be some other online courses available. The next one's going to be on the hip. And then I will have a pregnancy and postpartum pole dancing self-paced course, because everyone's pregnant at a different time course. Yeah. Ideally before the end of this year. We'll see how time goes. It's already almost May. What the heck?
Yeah, it goes by so fast.
It does.
Yeah, amazing. Make sure to go check that out, guys. And Emily, thank you so much for being our guide on our body's limits, and thank you for everyone for tuning in.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Well, we reached the end of our adventure today, so until next time, remember to stay strong, keep pushing your limits, and embrace your individual journey.
Don't forget to grab your free access to the Pole Adventures Compendium, a collection of incredible resources to help you progress on your pole journey. And if you enjoyed today's adventure, make sure to leave a review so other explorers can embark on the journey with us. This is the Pole Adventures podcast, and your next adventure awaits.